right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Tuesday is an ozone action day. Why pollution is a problem and when a few of us might see some badly needed rain.
Tonight, new reaction to the All Things New restructuring plan. The parishes that will see the most changes.
Hi, I'm Becky, the Queen of Carpet, and I'm
Remembering a St. Louis icon. The growing tributes to the untimely death of Becky Rothman. But first, the travel rush back to pre-pandemic levels this Memorial Day. Travelers weighing in on a potential makeover at St. Louis Lambert Airport.
And if we can expand this airport and make it easier to travel, then I'm all for it.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Brent Solomon. Ann and Mike have the night off. We begin tonight with a major makeover that could be coming to St. Louis Lambert International. The plan includes more restaurants and shopping, even changes to the current terminal structure. 5 on your side's Elise Schoenig with reaction from travelers.
TSA predicts almost 100,000 passengers will go through security this Memorial Day weekend here at the St. Louis Lambert International Airport. One destination
Charlotte, North Carolina.
My wife and I went to Charlotte, North Carolina.
holds countless journeys.
To be part of my middle son's wedding celebration.
One of our good friends of ours, she and her husband just celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary.
Varen Johnson and Bill Duncan were on the same flight to Charlotte for two very different but very special weddings.
This holiday compared to last year was excellent.
Johnson and Duncan were just two of nearly 100,000 passengers who went through security at Lambert during the holiday weekend.
We didn't have a hard time getting through TSA. Our flight was on time. We had a great experience this time.
This weekend's holiday travel comes before Lambert could get a huge makeover. The plan would bring all airlines into Terminal 1, add thousands of parking spots and spaces for restaurants and retail.
It's much more efficient to have a single terminal, especially for people that aren't from St. Louis.
The airport's leader, Rhonda Hamnabergy, says they're still negotiating this potential plan with airlines.
It's a great opportunity to really put us in place for decades to come.
Johnson has mixed reactions on the plan, but he says growth is needed across the country and in St. Louis.
If we can expand this airport and make it easier to travel, then I'm all for it.
There were countless destinations this weekend, but each journey was worth it. Reporting from St. Louis Lambert International Airport, Elise Schoenig, 5 on your side.
Now the proposal must pass 2 separate environmental studies before it moves forward. Let's go ahead and see if we can get you a live look now over downtown St. Louis. After the long holiday weekend, many of you getting ready to head back to work tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Scott Cano now with your weather first forecast.
Well, it looks like as we do head back tomorrow into the grind of things, we will be talking about the dry weather continuing in St. Louis. Now, if you are traveling early tomorrow morning, there should not be any weather-related problems in and out of Lambert. Our biggest problem has been generally the lack of wind, and that's creating some pollution issues for us. All the thunderstorms have eluded us, even though we could certainly use some rain. That cluster that's up in Nebraska really doesn't have a chance of making it here. So here's the deal. We have light wind. Air quality issues will be with us. This is especially poignant during the afternoon, late afternoon, and into the early evening hours when we will have orange air quality. Above average temperatures are back. They'll stick with us all week and very limited rain chances. So Tuesday is an ozone action day, unhealthy for sensitive groups. And that does include anyone with lung issues, as well as active children and adults who spend a large amount of time outside, especially later tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. That's when the air quality will be its worst in St. Louis. We'll see you in a few minutes and talk about rain chances, Brent.
All right, we'll see you then, Scott. We continue to delve into the lengthy All Things New decision from the Archdiocese of St. Louis. Tonight, we're focusing on the parishes that will see the most changes. Our Laura Bercheski joins us in studio now. Laura, there's an attorney helping parishioners appeal the changes.
Yes, Brent, I talked with him about some of the parish mergers, closures, and how that's going to work. As the Archbishop said, a lot of this is going to happen at the local level, which may be difficult for parishioners. Under the All Things New plan, 15 parishes will merge together to create 5 new parishes. In that merger, there will likely have to be a decision made on which church becomes the primary church.
Over the next several months, our priests will be discerning with their people what the best use of our facilities should be to provide the sacraments and necessary pastoral care to all who live within their boundaries.
Attorney Brody Hale says this process could be very hard for parishes and even traumatic for parishioners.
The parish church is the primary location within any parish where liturgical, sacred activity is to occur. That's the place where you're guaranteed to be able to get married. You're guaranteed to be able to be baptized, have your kids baptized, or be baptized yourself if you're entering the faith.
Hale says as a result, there's no real guaranteed fate of the churches that are left behind.
They can have as many masses said within them as an archbishop wishes, but they are only guaranteed 2 masses per year.
There are also 2 parishes that are being suppressed, or in other words, effectively closed altogether. The first is St. Cronin in St. Louis.
Rome has been pointing out for the last 17 years that the suppression canon, Canon 123, is not a canon which is supposed to be used to eliminate parishes.
The second parish to close is Saints Peter and Paul, also in St. Louis. Hale says the decree or decision sent to these parishes is confusing, especially when it comes down to the assets.
And so if we're suppressing these 2 parishes, specifically St. Cronin and Saints Peter and Paul, how is it the case that their property and monies and all of that are still going to be held by them? That doesn't make logical sense, let alone canonical sense.
Archbishop Mitchell Rosansky says the buildings and properties no longer being used as they were in the past will not go to waste.
We have different organizations, Catholic Charities and other organizations who are also looking for spaces to be able to operate. So we will do whatever we can to help the community.
All appeals to these decisions are supposed to be postmarked by June 12th. Attorney Hale says this is not something someone should tackle on their own. It's very complicated. Parishioners should reach out to Save Rome of the West to start writing an appeal. Brent.
Laura, thanks for that update. Developing tonight, St. Louis police investigating a deadly shooting in North City. Officers showed up to Leahy Avenue near Euclid around 4 this afternoon. They found a 19-year-old man shot in the arm and ear. He was unconscious and barely breathing. He later died. Police have not identified any suspects. Developing tonight, someone shot and killed a man at the St. Louis riverfront. It happened around 4:30 near Lenore K. Sullivan and Dr. Martin Luther King Drive near the MLK Bridge. According to a police source, the 43-year-old was homeless. So far, no arrest. Tonight, 5 on Your Side is learning more about the man whose body was pulled from the Mississippi River Saturday. Thursday, police were called to Lenore K. Sullivan Drive, just north of the Arch. That was for a report of a man melting copper. When officers got there, he darted into the river. Well, 2 days later, people aboard a riverboat spotted a body floating in the water. The boat had to be evacuated so emergency crews could retrieve it.
People just don't understand the river, how dangerous it is. That river will swallow you up. You got to be careful. But yeah, hopefully they find who he belongs to and let the family bury him properly.
Police sources tell 5 on Your Side they are confident this is the same man who was melting that copper. They say he was wearing the same clothing when his body was found. If you have any information about this, call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. Well, in about 12 hours, a new St. Louis Circuit Attorney will be sworn into office. A swearing-in ceremony for Gabe Gore will happen inside of the Carnahan Courthouse at 11 a.m. Missouri Governor Mike Parson picked him to replace Kim Gardner after her sudden resignation earlier this month. Gore will serve out the remainder of her term. Now, he is eligible to run in next year's election, although he hasn't announced yet if he will. Tomorrow, the Chesterfield man charged with ramming a U-Haul truck into a barrier near the White House will be in court. 19-year-old Cy Condola will face a judge in a detention hearing. Prosecutors have revealed he is not a U.S. citizen, but he does have a green card. They have not released his national origin or motive at this time. Stay with 5 on your side for complete coverage of these stories and more. You can find them on air, online, and on the 5 on your side app. Tonight, St. Louis icon Becky Rothman has died. She was best known as Becky, Queen of Carpets. Her family tells 5 on your side she passed away Sunday. She had been undergoing dialysis for the past several years and died from complications of kidney disease. Rothman was known for her flying carpet commercials. She owned Becky's Carpet and the Tile Superstore for more than 3 decades. The business closed back in 2012. We caught up with people who grew up watching her on television.
She is just a household staple. I mean, all of us have seen commercials with Becky flying on the magic carpet over the arch. She's just a St. Louis icon. So for her to pass away is just heartbreaking.
Rothman was 67 years old. Funeral arrangements are pending. Wanda Kilzer, who appeared in the commercials alongside Rothman, passed away in 2011.
Honoring those who pay the ultimate sacrifice for our nation.
I was in Vietnam last night. I was in Vietnam 5 minutes ago when I was reading those names. It never fades.
The Memorial Day celebrations all across the bi-state. Home insurance savings. Consumer Reports with 4 simple steps you can take to take control over your premiums.
Heat and humidity build around St. Louis this week. Why that alone may not be enough to force a few isolated thunderstorms.
On this Memorial Day, we remember those who pay the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Today, memorials all across the country. President Biden honored America's fallen service members by laying a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery.
We must never forget the lives these flags, flowers, and marble markers represent. A mother, a father, a son, a daughter, a sister, a spouse, a friend, an American. Every year we remember, and every year it never gets easier.
Tonight, the city of Alton concluded the Memorial Day weekend with a sunset ceremony. For the past 18 years now, the River City hosts an evening ceremony at the National Cemetery to honor our fallen service members. Organizers stress that the Memorial Day weekend is more than just a 3-day weekend.
If 100 people show up here today, then mission accomplished. If 5 people show up here today, mission accomplished. That means 5 people are getting the meaning of what Memorial Day should be.
Over the past year, several groups helped clean up the cemetery ahead of that ceremony. Today, hundreds gathered at the Soldiers Memorial in downtown St. Louis to honor Gold Star families and Vietnam War veterans. This year, the names of 254 St. Louis veterans who died in the war were added to that memorial site. One veteran drove from New York to see his friend's name unveiled. He still remembers the day his friend died.
It never fades. And you can talk to any vet, combat vet, from any war. It does not go away. It doesn't wash off. It doesn't get old. It doesn't get wrinkled like we do, and our hair turns white. Green is 18 forever, but he's finally on the wall, you know, and his town knows that he did something good, and that's enough for me.
The Vietnam exhibit will remain open at Soldiers Memorial for 1 more year. Well, an emotional day at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in South St. Louis County. Members of all military branches attended this morning's wreath-laying ceremony, which included prayers, speeches, taps, and a moment of silence. More than 260,000 people are buried there, including Civil War veterans. Don't forget this Memorial Day weekend, you can help the families of fallen or wounded service members and first responders. There's still time to donate to the Folds of Honor campaign, which runs through tomorrow. Round up at the register at any area Schnucks store. 5 on Your Side is a proud partner of that campaign. Well, if you thought your home insurance premiums could get cheaper over time, Think again. On average, bills are projected to climb about 7% this year. And with natural disasters on the rise, there likely won't be much relief anytime soon. But there are some hidden ways you can take some control over your premium. Consumer Reports reveals the saving strategies to manage rising insurance costs. Here's Mike Bush.
Jess Wright recently moved out of her Brooklyn, New York apartment for a single-family home in upstate New York. But with added space comes new responsibility, including adding a homeowner's insurance policy.
Top reasons, I'm thinking a tree falls on my house, somebody gets injured, God forbid, fire, major storm damage, that kind of stuff.
With homeowners insurance premiums expected to rise faster than inflation, Consumer Reports says now is the time to shop around.
You do get a loyalty benefit for sticking around with companies, but it's not as great as the benefit from getting an overall lower price from shopping around.
Once you've found the right insurer, CR says bundling is the best way to get a big discount. That means buying your homeowners and auto coverage from the same company, which can save up to 30%. Think about extra items to bundle, like coverage for a boat or motorcycle. Raise your deductible. Moving to a $1,000 deductible from a $500 one can shave your premium by 25%. And while a low deductible could save money if you have a claim, odds are that you won't have one anytime soon. Report home improvements. Anytime you replace old plumbing, add security cameras, install gas or water leak detectors, let your agent know. You may be able to trim off 2 to 6% with each additional item. If you live in a fire-prone area, even cutting back dry brush around your home and outbuildings could generate a credit on your bill. And finally, when choosing an insurer, land on one that provides great service, regardless of the premium cost. 2 insurers have consistently landed in the top tier of Consumer Reports ratings, Amica and USAA.
My husband's father served in the military, so we have USAA insurance, and their service is incredible. They're very responsive.
Mike Bush reporting tonight. Consumer Reports says a major reason for the hike is extreme weather-related disasters. But even if you don't live in a disaster-prone area, your rates could increase. So it's even more important to use these cost savings tips. All right, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is standing by as promised with more on your Weather First forecast. What a great day for all of those barbecues and even those memorial celebrations.
Yes, you know, the memorial services this morning, this evening, you really could not ask for better weather around the St. Louis area. Mary Pizzoni has this beautiful shot from down at Jefferson Barracks with a few of the high, thin clouds. Of course, taking a moment to actually remember what Memorial Day is truly all about, that total sacrifice and an ultimate sacrifice that so many paid for our freedoms. Well, your temperatures tonight in town still around or in the 70s, but again in the outlying areas dropping off pretty quickly. Washington Pacific down to 64, O'Fallon, Missouri 66, Cahokia is down to 65. That's at Parks Airport. 67 at Millstop right now. Dew point temperatures are in the 50s. These are below average for this time of year. Not as dry as the air was the end of last week, but still quite dry. That means we have another cool night in the outlying areas as we drop back into the 50s, 60s in town. 87 was our top temperature today, missing the record by 7 degrees. The low this morning was 60, and while we're above average, at least temperature-wise, we are not on the precip. We are about 4 inches down for the year, and much of that has come during the month of May. We're almost 3 inches below average just in the month of May alone. 76 degrees right now. There's no wind. The light wind, that has been causing issues with pollution, kind of building up. It's exacerbated during the afternoon, especially just before a rush hour, like what we'll have tomorrow, or before a lot of people were returning home for Memorial Day. Overnight tonight, we drop back into the 50s to low 60s. The weather pattern is generally stuck. We're still waiting on this upper level system in the mid-Atlantic to move out. Until that skedaddles, we basically are stuck waiting on something to drift in from the west. And what tries to drift in here isn't going to really give us much of a chance for rain. Close to 90 degrees as we head into your Tuesday. We'll stay dry Tuesday around St. Louis. Mid-Missouri could see a spot shower or thunderstorm. There might be an isolated shower in southern Illinois. Going into Wednesday, perhaps a little better chance for seeing a spot storm, but it's really isolated as we go into Wednesday. Thursday and Friday. Your chances are there, but for most of us, there is not a lot of rainfall in the forecast. Most of us will not see rain, and we're going to keep it hot right into the weekend with temperatures in the 90s. Now, the humidity levels back off a little bit over the weekend, which actually lowers our chances for any rain. Maybe by the middle of next week, a little better chance, but at this point, we're not seeing anything widespread, even though we could use it. 13 days in a row with no measurable rain in St. Louis, Brent, and that is the longest stretch we've had in the month of May since back in 1988.
Very interesting. All right, thank you, my friend. We've got Frank Cusimano in the house.
All right, so the Cardinals looked tired, Jason Tatum looked hurt, and the Vegas Golden Knights, well, they looked invincible. Stick around.
The Sports Desk is sponsored by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer 10 years running.
A long time ago, in the middle of a slump, Tony La Russa defended his players with one classic line: they are men, not machines. And I know they travel in charter flights, stay in 5-star hotels, and have more chefs and masseuses than the Kardashians. But it's 18 games in 18 days, and the Cardinals were lifeless against the Royals today. The Cardinals paid tribute before the game to the late, great Rick Hummel, who was beloved by all. A typical Adam Wainwright start, not bad. He struck out 6 in 5 innings, but he gave up 3 runs, including this RBI triple by MJ Melendez, which scored Salvador Perez. The story was the Cardinals hitting, or lack of it, a perfect game for KC. Drew Waters will rob Tommy Edman in the 6th inning. Mike Myers, a former Cardinal with a career ERA of nearly 5, was like Bob Gibson today. In the 8th inning, the biggest offensive thrill of the day, a harmless single by Nolan Arenado that breaks up the perfect game, and the Cardinals lose it 7-0. Talk to us, Nolan.
These consecutive games in a row, but yeah, there's no excuse. I mean, every other team goes through the same thing, so it is what it is. I mean, it's tough as you get older, that's for sure, but like I said, every team's going through it.
I think you can kind of see guys are dragging a little bit, no excuse for starting pitchers. We only go in every 5, but some of our guys need a couple days.
Day game, travel day game, and it showed. Guys are at 18 in a row, and you can see it, you can feel it. No excuse.
Look closely at this picture behind me. It's Larry Bird in his Celtic uniform with Jason Tatum. Now, I know some are thinking, don't try to compare Tatum to Bird. I'm not. Believe me, Bird is my all-time favorite player. But if Tatum ever wants to be in the Bird conversation, he's got to win championships like Larry. Tonight, Game 7 against the Heat. Tatum turned an ankle early. He was grimacing all game long. He actually stayed in the game. He will get the dunk, but watch him hobbling on that ankle. He had 14 points, 11 rebounds, and a lot of respect. But Miami was letting it fly. Duncan Robinson with the 3. They were 14 of 28 from 3. Boston was 9 of 42. Jimmy Butler had 28. Miami, as the 8th seed, moves on to the finals to face Denver with a 103-84 victory. The Stars hosting Vegas in Game 6. The Golden Knights came out flying. William Carrier with the backhanded goal there. Still in the first, Las Vegas on the power play. William Karlsson with the rebound goal. The Golden Knights win it 6-0. They move on to face Matthew Tkachuk and the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals. Don't look now, but we are an incredible racing town. Those drivers who were at the Indy 500 yesterday will be here for the Bommarito 500 in August. But first, it's the Enjoy Illinois 300 this Sunday at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And all those drivers today at the Coca-Cola 600 in North Carolina will be here in a few days. It was Ryan Blaney ending a 59-race drought with the victory. And what a weekend for the Penske team, who won the Indy 500 with Joseph Newgarden yesterday. And like Newgarden, Blaney celebrated by going to celebrate with the fans. We will see all these drivers here next weekend. And that will do it in sports.
You gotta love it when they embrace the fans like that.
Great idea.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Frank. Well, an unexpected experience at the Indy 500. The reason this woman got to have a special moment on the track. Well, it was a pretty memorable Indianapolis 500, especially for one woman whose car got a piece of the action. A late crash in the race sent a wheel sailing over the track fence, clearing the packed grandstand. It ended up in the parking lot, smashing the hood of Robin Matthews' vehicle. When a friend told her what happened, she thought he was joking.
Robin, it was your car. And I'm like, shut up. You know, because I didn't believe him. He's a jokester. And he's like, it's your car. And he showed me a picture. I'm like, immediately my stomach dropped and I was shaking. My car's name is Snowball. And she took one for the team.
After the race, the Indianapolis Speedway president invited Matthews for a photo op, kissing the bricks. Thanks for joining us. That's all of our time at 10. Have a great night.